it's damaged us internally.
In 4 words, Melissa Robinson sums up the past 26 months since her cousin was killed. In December 2022, the families of Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron were told their loved ones were brutally murdered and their remains ended up in the Prairie Green Landfill. To add to their pain, the Winnipeg Police Service told them there would not be a search.
We were constantly told no because it couldn't be done, or, it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. But here we are, less than 3 months of the search commencing, and already, remains have been found.
A physical search of the landfill began on December 2nd, 2024, almost 2 years to the day the families heard the 2 women were victims of a self-confessed serial killer. This past August, Jeremy Skibitsky was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years for killing 4 women. Rebecca Contois, Harris, Myron, and the yet-to-be-identified person given the name Buffalo Woman. The same summer, after fighting a year-long political fight with the city, its police, along with the former Manitoba government and multiple feasible studies later, the families were told the feds and province would commit $20 million each to the search. A search that has close to 40 people doing shift work. Many of them are family members of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in this province. Earlier this week, the Harris and Myron families were called to the search site with news of potential remains being found. Jordan Myron is Mercedes' sister.
We knew those women were in there, and this is the day that we've been waiting for. Although it's a good thing that we found the remains, it's also very, very hard.
Morgan's youngest daughter, Elle Harris, shares how she felt leaving the search site.
Yesterday, when I left the landfill, I felt like I was abandoning her again. I felt like I was leaving her.
This isn't the first time Winnipeg experienced a serial killer preying on Indigenous women. In 2012, Sean Lamb pleaded guilty to killing 2 women, and charges were stayed on a third, Tanya Nepenak, because her body was never recovered. At the time, her family was told that she was likely in the Brady landfill, a city-owned one on the south perimeter of Winnipeg. They were told she would not be searched for, something that's lingered in the air for over a decade and on the minds of the families today.
We need to go back to Brady, where we know Tanya Nepenak is at. Again, I don't know how anyone sleeps at nighttime knowing that she still lays there, and we know she's there. So why hasn't the work begun over there as well?
Kyra Wilson is the Grand Chief for the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs and was the chief of Long Plain at the time the women were murdered. For her, if a search happened back then, there could have been prevention policies in place.
Right now is a prime example. If you listen to us, how many years ago, this could have been prevented.
She says with the alarming rates of violence on Indigenous women and girls, action needs to start now.
A major reason why we need to look at systemic change, and it needs to happen immediately. And we can't ignore this crisis anymore.
Meanwhile, the RCMP and the province's chief medical examiner are now investigating what was found this week. The province says the identification process could take up to 2 weeks. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.